to what DeSantis
Yes.
is doing. He announced yesterday at a news conference that the state of Florida was looking into legal action that they could take against the Twitter board of directors for refusing Musk's offer.
And the state of Florida's pension fund is invested in Twitter. So as a shareholder, DeSantis, as the representative of Florida, he has a right to sue Twitter's board if he believes they are abandoning their fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for the shareholders.
Yeah.
And certainly looks like they're doing that by stopping people from taking on Musk's offer.
So now you have these two just
DeSantis,
forces of nature basically teaming up to fight big tech. And I love that so much. DeSantis is doing a great job, and this would be another way of helping the country. DeSantis, this is like my favorite news of the day now.
Yeah.
The Florida redistricting came out today.
Yes.
And it's really good news for the GOP. Michael, do you want to talk about the numbers on this? Because you have them.
So I got the New York Times coverage on this pulled up right now. The map proposed by Governor Ron DeSantis would most likely add 4 Republican districts while eliminating 3 held by Democrats.
That's great.
So what that would be
seven.
a 7-point swing in terms of districts.
That's almost the majority of the difference right now in the House.
Yeah, so this would mean that the GOP would likely hold 71% of the seats in that
Florida?
state. Yeah.
Wow.
And in 2020, Donald Trump carried Florida with 51% of the vote. So think of that, 51% then.
Crazy.
We would have control of 71% of the seats. Then what else this redistricting does is it takes away these special rights that Disney has had. And, DeSantis has been butting heads with Disney over just their blatant woke propaganda, trying to indoctrinate kids with all this LGBT stuff, trying to indoctrinate them with all this critical race theory stuff. So in Florida, Disney's had a really good deal set up with the state where basically they have a self-governed district.
Sure.
That gives them certain tax benefits and so on. But the redistricting could lead to the dissolving of that district, and essentially, that would cost Disney so much money. Nobody knows the exact figures at this time, but it's not looking good for Disney.
Yeah.
It's looking great for DeSantis in Florida and Republicans.
I think it's great that we are finally seeing people like Ron DeSantis stand up to woke companies.
Yeah.
And companies that indoctrinate kids. Like, for so long, these large corporations have just been able to do what they want to do freely without any consequences. And now you see Twitter facing consequences from Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis. And now you see Disney facing consequences for what they're doing to our kids from Ron DeSantis. And I love that so much, because these companies cannot get away with what they do. For too long, they've just been, they're corporations.
Yeah.
They just kind of get away with whatever they want. And so I love that that's changing.
Well, look, we have had so much of a struggle the past maybe 5 years to a decade, gaining momentum kind of in the conservative movement. Progressives were just sweeping through all of our cultural institutions. It seemed like they were winning, and then they just went a little bit too far, and they started putting their hands on classrooms, children. They got parents involved. They turned us into, and we've always been the pro-parent party,
absolutely.
the pro-family party, but they overtly turned us into, hey, if you want to raise your kids, you better be a Republican.
Yeah.
So,
it's great. And I want to go back to the redistricting.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Oh, for sure.
And just how big this is. And I love Florida as almost like a case study of what can happen when the GOP really fights, when conservatives fight. Because if you guys go back to pre-2016, Florida was a pretty blue state, and now it's like a solid red state. I think for the first time in Florida history, Republicans now outnumber the number of Democrats registered to vote. In the state.
That's absolutely true.
And so think about that. So Trump won in 2016 and 2020 while fighting an advantage of voter registration for Democrats. But now we have the opposite of that. and now we see this congressional redistricting. Like Florida is now like a solid red state, and it shows you that strong leadership is what wins people over. It's not being in the middle. It's not being a moderate that gets people engaged and to vote. Like I'm so sick of weak conservatives, weak Republicans that want to take this middle road because that's what they think will get them more voters. No. It's being strong like Ron DeSantis. That's how you win people over. That's how you fight. And it's amazing to see.
Well, really where DeSantis has made these grounds, and this is all DeSantis. He has done all of this. For so long, Republicans, the argument was, well, we don't want to go down in the dirt with Democrats. So what's our message going to be? Well, their message is we're fighting racism. We're fighting for civil rights. Our message is we're going to lower your taxes. Love the idea of that.
Right.
Love lowering taxes. Horrible counter message to we're going to be the civil rights movement. But if they say they're going to be the civil rights movement and we say we're going to be the pro-family, pro-children's rights, student rights, parent rights movement, that is the perfect counter. I can't think of a better counter. And DeSantis has led that charge.